So welcome everyone. In case you don't know who I am, I'm Wendy Rosenberg, Vice President of South Florida Title Associates, the Nob Hill branch. I've been in the title business for over 30 years. I'd like to say I started when I was 12. So if you have any questions about title, even if it's not my file, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you. I'm a great resource. Those of you that work with me know that I answer my phone, even if it's nights and weekends, and I'm always here to help. The good thing about working with me is I have an excellent team. My processors and closers are amazing. Most of them are bilingual, so that's not an issue here. We do whatever it takes to get your deal done. We do a really great job. Our fees are super competitive. Our settlement fee is $585 to the buyer, $585 to the seller. We don't charge extra for couriers or notaries unless it's a special kind of a notary. We don't upcharge our simultaneous issue fee either, which is something that majority of other title companies do. Our simultaneous issue fee is only $25. Most other companies upcharge that by $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 or possibly more. And you would never know that because it's a very hidden charge. So our fees are very transparent, very competitive, and we also do an awesome job. I've gotten so much praise from all the closings we've done in the last year. Lots of good reviews, lots of awesome feedback. I know if you work with us, you'll be super happy. Your clients will be super happy, and you will want to continue working with us. And I know a lot of you say, Wendy, you do all these awesome trainings. We really love your classes. Why do you do this? So my answer to you is, when somebody says to you, what does your title company do for you? You can say, Wendy brings us great training classes, always there to help us and to answer our questions. And that's really important to me. So I do all these great trainings to give you great useful information and help you build your business. And I hope in return that you will help me build my business and you'll use me for your next closing. And I understand perfectly that you have in-house title companies, your favorite title companies, your aunt, your uncle, and I get it. And that's perfectly fine. I don't need all your business. Of course, I would love all your business. But if you just think of me on the next deal, I would be super thankful. Put Wendy Rosenberg, South Florida Title Associates, the Nob Hill branch. And I know you'll be happy and I'll be happy and we'll all be happy. And I know a lot of you are already using me and I'm super thankful. And the rest of you, I hope that you will give me a shot because I know you'll be happy. We do an amazing job, competitive fees. And like I say, I'm here to oversee all your deals as well. So now I have a great presentation for you. I will send you a copy of the recording. And if there are any slides, I'll send them to you as well. And I'm going to let Lee go ahead and get started. I ask that you just put yourselves on mute. If you have a question, you can ask them as you go along. So whatever you need, Lee doesn't mind answering them as you go along. Yes, it's going to be recorded, so don't worry. You'll get a copy of the recording. Anytime you register for my classes, you will automatically get a copy of the recording. Go ahead, Lee, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Wendy. We appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. My name is Lee Gorodetsky. Pardon my voice because I am scratchy voice. A couple of days ago, I got some sniffles and here I am, don't know, whatever, but working from home remotely. So I'm going to put my information in the chat box so you have all of information on me, our agency, what we do. We do everything insurance. The only thing we don't do insurance are the things that we choose not to do. We don't do health insurance, don't want to mess with it. And we don't do anything to do with mobile or manufactured homes just because we just don't want to. Again, they're complicated, they're problems. No one's ever happy with them. And so we just choose to not do them to save ourselves that little bit of aggravation. But other than that, we can help you with everything. Of course, we're going to talk about home insurance today, car insurance, commercial buildings, master policies, life insurance, long-term care. We do everything. We're full service. Our turnaround time is very quick with quotes. We do it very quickly. I'm available readily, so I'm reached pretty much 24/7. I'm going to respond to you very quickly if I need to, either by phone, text, or email, whatever. And our quote turnaround time is 1 business day, so we're that well. So we are going to talk about property insurance and all the pretty much bad news there is out there. And there is just a lot of bad news that you all kind of need to know about. So we'll go through it. I'm going to cover it in a certain order. You guys can definitely ask questions anytime you want. I'm going to first kind of talk about what's been going on in Tallahassee, what should be going on in Tallahassee, what's not going on in Tallahassee, and then the effects that it's having in particular on Citizens Insurance. And then after we cover Citizens Insurance, we'll go into your particular closings and so you understand what it's going to take to get a home into Citizens Insurance, because it is changing. It's an evolving process. It's changed several times this year, June being the most recent. So we'll kind of go through that. So we'll just start with what's happened in Tallahassee. So the biggest thing to remember or know is that in December a year ago, when they had the second special session, what came out of that was very, very important. And that's what's happening today. What came out of that is two things. Citizens Insurance must have their rates be actuarially sound. That's not a good thing for the consumer. That means that their premiums can handle the 1 in 100 year storm. Citizens Insurance is one of the cheapest carriers out there today. So that's not likely to happen. So this thing about making their rates actuarially sound is a big impact that's going to start to come in November and December of this year. So it's coming next month. The other thing they did is they want Citizens to be depopulated. Citizens Insurance less than 2 years ago was below 500,000 policies. They liked it around there. It's now grown to 1.4 million policies. They don't like it there. It needs to be reduced. So there's lots of things going on. It's affecting all of you, your clients, your friends, your family, your neighbors. So it's affecting a lot of people. So we'll kind of go through what's happening. When it comes to Citizens Insurance, the new rate increase has finally been approved. It is approximately a 12% statewide increase for single family homes. Now, a 12% increase doesn't sound like a lot in comparison to what you've been hearing, but 12% in South Florida is really double that number. So it's probably 25 to 30%. So if you're in Citizens Insurance with a single family home policy, HO3, that's the kind of rate increase you should be expecting your next renewal. Could be more depending on when you renew and timing and so forth, because there's renewal increases at different times of the year. But this new one will take effect, I think, at the end of November, I'm pretty sure is a date. So that's happening. For condos, and by the way, that number I just gave you of about 25% for South Florida is not only for single family homes, but it's for primary homes, homestead properties. If a property is not homestead, so if it could be a dwelling policy or landlord policy, an investor policy, a seasonal owner who is only here seasonally, if they're in Citizens Insurance, those rate increases could easily be 40 to 50%. And that's probably going to happen 2 years in a row. The condo policies, HO6s, are probably more likely to be in that range as well, in that 40% range. Everyone's going to be affected differently based on age of your building, age of the roof, discounts that you're getting, and so forth and so on. But you need to be expecting significant rate increases if you're in Citizens Insurance. That's just reality check. The problem that we have in Tallahassee still, or the problems that we've had, one was litigation and fraud. It's still a rampage of a problem out there. The bill that they did pass is starting to work. It's beginning to feel the effects, but that was always going to be 2 to 3 years down the road before anything happens. Yeah, Margarita, condos, no, homestead could be under. It's going to be between 20 and 40% for homestead condos, but condos is supposed to be higher than single family homes. That is true. Single family homes that are homestead are going to be the lowest increase of everybody, but they'll still be going up, and they'll be going up every year, because to make the rates actuarially sound, they have to be able to handle the 1 in 100 year storm, which they can't even come close. So the rates are going to keep going up. That's just not going to change. Citizens Insurance wants their rates to be what they used to be, which is the most expensive in the industry, and a place you only go where you have no one else to go, period. Now in South Florida, we have a lot of that going on all the time, because people can't get into other carriers for all kinds of reasons. So therefore that makes it even more complicated for some people in getting into a closing and getting into a home. Okay, what should be done in Tallahassee for all of you to talk to your lobbyists about, the real estate lobbyists, is very simple. Roofs. Roofs is a real problem in Florida. So we'll cover it in two ways, with your closings and also with the state of Florida and Citizens Insurance. It used to be your roof had to have at least 3 years of life for an insurance company to even consider giving a quote. That has now changed to 5 years. So Citizens Insurance, if that roof doesn't have at least 5 years of life, we have a problem already starting up. So that's how you know. And I get a lot of phone calls from realtors. And by the way, you have my cell phone there. You can call me anytime. I'll be happy to talk to you and help you out with whatever I can. But understand that the calls I usually get are something like this. Hey, Lee, I'm in so-and-so, and I've got a roof that has a 25-year-old tile roof. What do you think? I don't know. It doesn't matter how old it is. It matters the life expectancy. That's an inspector's job, not mine. I can't do that. So that's why I can't answer those questions, but we can still cover premiums, and we will cover premiums for you guys. But roofs. Now, the other problem with roofs is, of course, what we need to fix in Florida. If your roof is 35 years old, and I see Maria Virag there, you're on my screen, so I'm picking on you, no big deal. But Maria, if you have a 35-year-old tile roof and you decide to go to a public adjuster or a lawyer for a claim and put a roof claim in, if you win, you're going to get a new roof. We're the only state in the country that does that. The only state. Every other state, if your roof is 10 years old or more, it depreciates, as it should. Florida doesn't do that. We haven't done that. That's costing Florida and premiums a ton of money. Think about it now, Maria. If the rule changed in Tallahassee and you couldn't do that, that would alleviate fraud, litigation, and cost of the insurance companies. So premiums would come skyrocketing down. That one alone would handle it. But what I've been told by the insurance company lobbyists that I work with is that there is no appetite in Tallahassee to do anything. They did it last year. They think that they did what they need to do, which is wrong. And they're not looking to do anything on the insurance side in regard to property insurance premium. So who knows if we'll see anything being done. The other thing that needs to be done is reinsurance, which is complicated. I'll come back to it. And the last thing that can be done, but probably will not happen in Florida, is that if you put a claim in with an insurance company, it should be like other states. Texas is one of them, where you cannot put a claim in with an attorney or a public adjuster until after 90 days, and the insurance companies had a chance to make an offer on the claim. In Florida, people come in day one with a claim. So just so you all know, when you go in day one with a claim to an insurance company with a lawyer, public adjuster, your claim goes to the bottom of the pile and it will be delayed. That's just how it works. There's no even questioning that. So your claim will take 1.5 to 2 years. In my homes, I've been through 3 claims in my home in Hollywood, and all the claims I handled myself, and there was never a problem getting paid. They were all done within 2 or 3 months. Pretty much it went smoothly as well as it could have gone. So no big deals. You just got to learn how to work with it. And that's why we tell people to call us. So that's enough about the history. And we talked a little bit about Citizens Insurance, but let's talk about Citizens Insurance now with a depopulation phase. And guys, if you have questions, put them out there. Some of you may be in Citizens Insurance. Some of you may be being depopulated already. You may have received letters, emails from your insurance agent. We notify our clients by email. They get letters as well from Citizens. But here's how depopulation works. So Maria, since I'm looking at you, I'm going to keep using you. So let's say, for example, you have a home and you're currently paying $7,000 for your insurance policy with Citizens Insurance. Oh, and by the way, the average premium for a single family home insurance policy in South Florida is about $9,000 right now, the average. In the rest of the state, it's about $5,000. But down here, we're about $9,000. So it's just much higher down here than the average for the rest of the state. But Maria, with that being said, so if you're paying $7,000 now, and we offered you a quote with another insurance company at $8,000, would you take it? Yes or no? Same coverage. And the answer is probably not. Okay. And that's what's reality check. You're on mute. I can't hear you, Maria. Sorry.
Okay. No, I wouldn't. I would try to find some.
But there isn't. That's the reality check. When we run quotes for someone, we run quotes of all the carriers that are available. whatever company are the cheapest two usually we go to and do quotes with them. So if Citizens Insurance is 7,000 and Florida Peninsula is 8,000, you're going to probably choose Citizens Insurance. Now you have a policy with Citizens Insurance. You've been there for 2 months, let's say. Now you get an email or a letter from Citizens Insurance saying that your policy will renew next year. Citizens Insurance is going to be 8,000. Florida Peninsula is going to be 9,000. So because the premium of Florida Peninsula is within 20% of the Citizens premium next year, you must go. You have no options. So your premium now goes from 7,000 to 9,000, not from 7 to 8. Because you're getting not only an increase from Citizens, which is we know is coming in later this year, and then you're going to get the increase from the other carrier, and that's why these companies are all depopulating you. Very often when we do quotes for clients, we'll give a blue and white sheet as one of our attachments, and it shows all the companies and all the reasons why they won't give you a quote today, which is absolutely crazy. It's crazy because all those companies, they will depopulate you next year from Citizens. They won't let us write it, but they're going to take you from Citizens. It really makes no sense at all how or why they're doing it. It has to do with the system. And put it this way, Maria, I think I did this with Wendy the other day. If you're starting up your own insurance company, which is much easier to do these days, very streamlined, you put up all the money, the reserves, and required the millions of dollars it takes. What would you rather do to start your business? Would you rather find clients one by one with the insurance agents out there? Or would you rather go to Citizens Insurance and say, give me 50,000 a year policies and start up your company overnight? That's what's happening. And Citizens Insurance is paying them to take you. So that's why they're waiting. That's why they're not offering quotes. So it's kind of a complicated process. But the reality is, if you're going to be now paying a year later, 2,000 or more for your insurance, people put the math together and they say, oh, that's like 150, 175 a month in my mortgage payment, correct?
Yep.
But it's not. It's really like 300 to 350 because they take double. The lender will take not only the money you owe for this year, but they're going to assume the higher premium next year. So the increases could be 300 to 400 a month. For most homeowners, getting a 300 to 400 a month increase in their mortgages every year is going to be a problem maintaining their homes. A lot of people are now home rich with equity, especially if they bought 3 to 5 years ago. But most of them are cash poor in their home because of insurance costs. So there's a catch-22 there, and a lot of people may be interested in listing their home because they can't afford it anymore. Now, I do a lot of first-time homebuyer classes. First-time homebuyers probably can't afford a home more than $400,000 in most cases. And the problem for first-time homebuyers, younger people who just have credit issues or budgetary issues, is they need to get into a home cheap. But the homes that you're finding for $400,000 are typically the older homes. I usually tell most people, try to stick with the years of 1995 and 2008. Those are the years you should write down. Anytime you have clients on a budget, 1995 and newer, 2008 and newer is always your best situation for those clients for premiums. So if they can afford, if they have lower premiums for insurance, they can afford more house, more mortgage. They can get into a home better, easier. So for a lot of people who are tight on budget, the newer, the better, absolutely. So it's really a good idea for people to be looking at that, but you can't always find it in the area that you're looking for. So Citizens Insurance is changing dramatically. I'm on the board of Citizens Insurance, just so you know. There's a second level board, not the political board, which is the primary. There's 9 of us on the board. There's a realtor on the board with us. All the different insurance agencies and other people. We meet quarterly. We're going to meet next month. And basically, I saw in the manual that we just received, there are about 400,000 people scheduled for depopulation from Citizens Insurance between now and the end of the year. So a lot of people are going to get notified. Now, if your premium from the other company is much higher than Citizens, let's say it's 50% higher, and it goes from 8,000 to 12,000, you don't have to go, Maria. You can stay, but you need to respond to Citizens Insurance and your agent within 30 days, the date on the letter. And it says, if you want to stay, tell us, or you're going to go. And once they depopulate you, you can't come back for 3 years unless you've been dropped by that carrier. which they're not supposed to do either. So it's kind of a catch-22 all around for a lot of people. All right, so that's everything with Citizens Insurance. The other thing I want to cover with Citizens Insurance is the flood situation. Flood insurance is now required by Citizens, not for the condos, but for the single family homes. If it's a condo and the lender requires it, we're still going to require it. But if it's a condo otherwise, you don't have to have the flood insurance. But on single family homes, you will. Now, most of you know we have the two main flood zones here, zones X and A. Those are the two main zones. X is a zone that a lot of people call not a flood zone, but it is a flood zone. And I put that in the chat box. The X zone, when you look on the flood maps, you will see colors of brown or blue and green. The X zones are usually brown for land. The blue and green are usually your A zones for water, which means flood required. But bottom line is the flood rates are also going up, and Citizens Insurance is starting to require flood insurance. So if you're in Citizens Insurance, I'll go through it, but if you're doing a closing starting January 1st, coming around the corner, everyone, if you go to Citizens Insurance, you must have flood. There are no exceptions except for condos. Any home policy, be it landlord, homeowner, secondary, seasonal, doesn't matter. They all have to have flood. So whatever the prices are, that's just Citizens Insurance, Michelle. It's not all the other companies. But the reality is 80% of people are being put into Citizens Insurance currently. Alfonso, AH is an A zone. So any A zone is AH, AE, AO, doesn't matter. Any A zone. So here are the current rates right now. The X zone premiums are currently between $500 and $900 per year, give or take. Okay, they can be 1,500. I've seen them higher than that, but the norm is 500 to 900 in that range. The A zones are typically 700 to 1,500. I've seen them, and I have a client at $6,000 for flood. So it just depends on the situation of the homeowner and where that home is located. So the A zones are obviously very high. There is a significant rate increase coming for flood in November or December. I'm not sure when it's going to start. The rate increase, we don't know the numbers. All we know is that some people are going to be affected very significantly. Those people are probably people like Key Biscayne, South Beach, people on the water, Tampa Bay, the Panhandle, all those areas. They're saying those people could get up to 300% increases in premiums. And that's coming from FEMA. We don't know. Okay, now if you're in other areas, there are going to be increases. So anyone who wants to consider getting flood insurance, I suggest getting it now. Here's the reasoning. Let's say you're in Citizens Insurance and you're going to need to have flood insurance next year, and the cost of a flood policy would be $600 this year, but the rates go up to $900. If you take a policy this year, you're at the $600 premium. It will eventually get to the $900 rate, but it would take 5 or 10 years to get there. If you do it now, you're going to get the rate today. So it's just a question of, do you want to do that or not? Here's how Citizens Insurance is going to work this. If you're currently a client in the Citizens Insurance, I'll come back to that, Margarita, in a second. If you're in Citizens Insurance, if your home dwelling coverage, single family home, is 600,000 or above, you will have to get flood insurance next year when your policy, before your policy renews, or it will be dropped by Citizens. The following year, it's 500,000 and above. The following year, it's 400,000 and above. And the following year, everybody else who's left. So they have 3 to 4 years to get all the existing policyholders. And the reason they're doing it incrementally is to make it easier on our lives, the insurance agents, because writing all those policies in 1 year would be extremely difficult to do, the timing and the coordination of all that stuff, as well as they're hoping some people get depopulated so that they don't have to take the flood insurance if they don't want to. Now, I will always cover why do people want flood insurance or why they should want flood insurance, and that's always easy. One word, seepage. People don't understand that your home insurance policy in Florida does not cover seepage. It's excluded. People will also ask me, is this covered? Is that covered? Is this covered? Why isn't that covered? All those kinds of questions. All you got to do is look at your policy. Go to the back of the policy. There are 2 pages, sometimes 3, that are called exclusion pages. That tells you what's excluded. If it says seepage is excluded, which it will, then you don't have coverage for flood. If any water gets in your home from the outside, then you're going to have a flood policy, or be like the 30, 40,000 people from Hurricane Ian who had no coverage, are getting money from FEMA, and they're getting SBA loans, which is a second mortgage on their property. So you're not getting the money from FEMA, you're getting a loan from FEMA. So it's kind of a catch-22 scenario. Margarita, your question was a zone for the range for A's. So I think you're talking about the premiums. So they are currently now normally between 700 to 1,500 for any A zone, AH, AE, and AO. But they're going to go up. So whatever it is, I don't know. I would say expect 20, 30%. It's going to be significant. And I'll give you one other tip on flood insurance for all of you working with buyers. If your buyer is buying a home that requires flood insurance, ask the seller if they have a flood policy. Because if they have a flood policy, you can take it over. The buyer can take it over. So let's say our quote is 1,800, Margarita, and the seller has a flood policy for 1,200. If you get us a copy of the flood policy from the seller, we'll get your client the $1,200 premium. And then they'll get to 1,800 over the next 5 to 10 years, whatever it is, as the rates go up incrementally. So that's kind of how the system works. Okay, so thank you for the questions. Anything else? I'm going to put up some information on a screen. I'm going to put up what we want to get into, which is about the 4-point inspection. The 4-point inspection is everything. I can't tell you the importance of the 4-point inspection. So here's some rules you should write down. One, see if I can screen this up a little bit. Okay. I guess so you can see it. Okay, so on the 4-point inspection, here are the rules. If your home is 20 years old or greater, you must have a 4-point inspection done, always. And they're only good for 1 year. So if you're shopping your rates next year or the year after, you're going to need a new one. We can use the old ones to do quotes, but you're going to need a new one to bind the coverage. So a lot of people, we just use the old ones to do quotes and see if we can find something cheaper next year. And if we do, we put you through the expense of the inspection, and it's still going to come out good, which sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. On condos, it's 40 years. Don't need it till 40 years. And we don't necessarily have to have the 4-point inspection. If you don't give it to us, we can only do citizens insurance. So with condos, if there's no 4-point inspection on the older buildings, you're only going to get citizens insurance, which might be the case anyways. But needless to say, I recommend the 4-point inspection for everybody. I don't care if the home is 5 years old, if the condo is 18 years old, 15 years old, get the 4-point inspection. It's so cheap and it's so informational. You just have so much information in there that helps us help you. And you want to know if your closing is going to get to the closing table. So here's the advice I'm going to give you, and I give this to all my classes. If you are making an offer on a home today for your buyer and that offer is accepted tomorrow, my suggestion to you is to have that inspection done on Saturday and get it in front of me or somebody by Monday morning at the absolute latest. Any delay past that is a huge delay for your client because they only have the 7 to 10 days to get their free look, make changes, and quite often this 4-point inspection has issues. Sometimes realtors are aware of it when we tell them, sometimes they're not aware of it. So we always go through it. So when you send me the wind mitigation and 4-point inspections, the first thing we do is review it for you to make sure there aren't any issues. Now, one issue we're seeing a lot, and you all should know this, Marguerite, I'll come back to that on new construction. One issue is oh, I just lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. It'll come back to me in a second. So with the 4-point inspection, we are looking for the same 2 things you and your buyer should be looking for: the life expectancy of those 4 items and the condition that they're currently in. We will not insure a home that's in fair or poor condition, as you should expect. It has to be in at least good condition. Okay, there can't be any hazards present. So that's what we're looking for on this 4-point inspection. Now, let's go with the roof section. And I put it in this order because I like the word reap, because if you get a good 4-point inspection, my line is you reap the reward and you can buy insurance. That's what it does. But with realtor and buyer, you can also use it to negotiate your sales price before you even make your offer, because you'll learn things. So this is something that's good to do, or you can renegotiate once you get it because the offer's already been made. Okay, so look at the roof section and look at that bottom line. That bottom line is critical. When should a roof be replaced? That's not old. Flat roofs, 10 years. That's replaced. not with a new blacktop on covering it up to make it last longer, but they want it replaced. Shingle roofs, 15 years. Now, if you're outside of South Florida, they will give you 20 in other parts of the state, but Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and Monroe, it's 15 years. Tile is 20. Some companies are 10 and 15. Other parts of the state, they might give you the full 20, maybe even a little more, but not too much. Now, this doesn't mean if the roof is older, you can't get insurance. This just means that a regular insurance company will not make an offer, which means all that's left is going to be Citizens Insurance, or what we call the surplus lines, better known as Lloyd's of London. Those are options. The Lloyd's of London is an option you don't want. So just so you understand how that works. And think about it this way. I talk to first-time homebuyers a lot, and I will say to them, do you really want your realtor to take you a home that has a 20-year-old shingle roof? And they'll all say no after I do this with them. But the answer is it's still okay. And here's why. Could the roof still have 5 or 10 years of life? Yes. Could the roof still be in good condition? Yes. But if the roof has 5 years of life, you need to understand this about your buyers, and you want to get referrals from your clients. If that roof has 5 years of life, when within 3 months of that policy taking effect, Citizens Insurance will notify them to replace the roof before the next year, or they will not get a renewal. So they're going to have to replace the roof either way. So when you're working with homes with older roofs, the insurance companies can and will make you replace the roof or face being dropped. It's a very common practice right now in Florida. So make sure your buyers are aware of all this stuff. Let me talk to them. I'll be happy to fill them in a nice way that they understand what they're getting themselves into, so that you don't want them walking into a home, buying a home, and then losing it 2 years later because of situations they weren't aware of. So it's a good idea. Now, obviously, leaks, damage, rotting fascia board, cracked shingles, missing tiles, those are all problems and so forth. Now, here's how it works with roofs and Citizens Insurance. The roof must have at least 5 years of life. If it does not have 5 years of life, and I would suggest you all write this down, you will need to have a roofer's written estimate signed by the roofer and the buyers, and it must state by the roofer that the new roof will be put on within 60 days after closing. We've done dozens of these. They work well, no problem, except when people don't do what they're supposed to do. We just had a client last week who was told 60 days. He had a signed contract, and with 1 week to go, he was just getting the roof permit done. He's going to be dropped for insurance. That's just how it works. They give you 60 days. They're not giving you longer. So at 60 days, the policy will be dropped, and you'll be forced with your bank into forced place insurance or whatever else we can do for you at that time. So be very, very careful with your clients and know and understand this process.
Lee, I have a question.
Sure.
So for the new roof, do you escrow the money at closing?
Well, we won't. You can. That's
No, I'm
between,
saying there's a title company. Do
you could. That's
we
between-
hold the escrow?
It's all between you guys. We don't get involved in that process. So we just want the roofer's written estimate that says the roof will be done within 60 days. How you escrow the money or get the money to take
Well, I
care
guess
of
it
it.
depends on who pays it. If the seller's
Correct.
paying it, then we
Be
escrow.
right. It might be different every time. So everything is
Okay.
different, but it definitely applies to it. But we don't do anything with the money. We just get the signed contract, and they've got to have it done. Now, because of permitting, they will give a week or two extra if there are delays in getting the permit closed, et cetera, et cetera. But you can't be taking 6 months to order tile from Europe, because it's not going to work. The policy will just be dropped. And a lot of people are trying to do that. It just doesn't work. And I'm going to come back to that question on new construction. So Margarita, when I start talking about premiums, let me come back to that part. Because new construction, the only inspection you're going to need for new construction is going to be a wind mitigation inspection. You don't necessarily always have to have it, but a lot of the carriers do want it, because sometimes discounts that should be automatic are not automatic all over the state. So they do want the wind mitigation inspection. Some companies don't require it. So just so you know, it's always good to get that wind mitigation inspection. And with new construction, just so you know how that works, we're always going to ask you a lot of additional questions, Margarita, because nothing's in the property appraisal website. So we're going to need to know square footage of the home, square footage under air, 1-story, 2-story, pool, no pool, screened enclosure, garage, 1, 2, or 3 cars, porches, patios, all that kind of stuff. So we'll ask a lot more questions on new construction as well. All right. Now I want to go through the other parts of the 4-point. We'll go through them quicker, but you guys should know about them. The electrical section, look at the very bottom. You'll see some electrical panels, name brands, Federal Pacific, Challenger, Zinskel, Sylvania, and Stablock. Those are all the panels that are considered bad in the insurance industry. So when you get to the house, you can look at the panel names. If you see these names, they need to be replaced. It's a $2,500 expense to get a licensed electrician to do it. Someone's got to pay for it. It really shouldn't be your buyer. It should be the seller. It's their home. But however you work it out, you work it out. Here's how bad these panels have gotten. Citizens Insurance is the only company who will take them. So if you have those panels, even if you qualify for another insurance company, I can't put you in it until the panel's been replaced. And we can't do it on any kind of a promise that you're going to do it, because people lie to us way too much. So it's not going to happen. So the panels need to be there. Now, the other problems you see listed there, ampage issues, double taps, aluminum wiring, cloth wiring, improper grounding, all those kinds of things can happen with any panel, but they tend to happen with these panels. These panels tend to be bad for electrical fires. Now, a lot of people in my classes go home, check their panels when the class is over, and they say, oh my God, my house is going to burn down. No, it's probably okay, but it's a good idea to replace it. I would actually advise everyone, if you've been living in your home at least 3 years, to do a 4-point inspection and find out what's on there. And if you're not sure how to read it, send it to my email. I'll be happy to read it for you, no problem. Now, the next one, air conditioning, water heaters. The third line is the more important one there. ACs should not be more than 15 years old. Water heaters no more than 10. Now, if it's tankless, doesn't matter, but water heaters, sometimes they're 20 years old. No insurance company wants a claim waiting to happen. That's a reality check. Air conditioners, 15 years. Quite often we see AC is 12 years old, 13 years old, 16 years old. Well, someone's going to pay for a new AC. That's $5-6 grand. As a realtor, you could be negotiating this. It's something you should be doing. But however it works, because the market is different. Now it's changing and evolving. So now it's becoming more of a buyer's market. So more of that may be going on. But keep it in mind, these things, they're critical to know about. And again, we're happy to look at all this stuff for you. Now, the plumbing section, that second line there is the more critical line, poly pipes. You should know what they are. Basically, I've given you the years of construction that poly pipes were done. So in those 15 years, poly pipes are very prevalent. If you're looking at homes built in those years, you had best find out if there are poly pipes. In today's world, just ask the listing realtor, are there poly pipes, and have them reply to you in writing. Because if they lie to you, you can actually sue them, because they're required to fully disclose this stuff. Poly pipes, what are they? What do they look like? Where do you find them? So they look just like the white plastic with PVC, but it's gray. Gray is poly pipes, polybutylene. Gray is bad.
Lee, can you scroll that up a little bit so we can see the bottom?
Oh, sure. That's just my information.
No, but we couldn't see the last line of the
Oh,
pipe.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Oh, okay, sure.
No, up a little bit, up, go up again. Up.
Okay.
We're still missing the bottom of plumbing. No, the other way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave it there. So poly pipes are a problem. If one home has it in a community, probably every home in that community has it. In Broward County, in Davie, you have Forest Ridge and several other communities surrounding Forest Ridge that are full of poly pipes. There are probably 50,000 homes still in South Florida with poly pipes. So if you have a poly pipe home, you can only get insurance with a Lloyd's of London policy. No other policy is going to work. And the Lloyd's of London policy you're going to get is not the HO3 we normally give you. It's going to be an HO8, which is a lesser policy, lesser coverage. The one thing it's going to exclude, among other things, is water damage. It's because you have poly pipes. Also, we always ask people, I can't emphasize this word enough, claims. Can't say that word enough. You need to be asking the sellers, have there been any claims on this property? We're going to ask the buyers, have you had any claims on your other properties? Because people basically lie to us all the time and say they don't, but then they do. We just had someone today who has a claim 3 months ago. I mean, how did you not know you had one 3 months ago? Of course you knew. They think we don't find out. We learn everything. When we go to bind a policy, we do what's called pulling a clue report. A clue report has a clue. It knows everything. It goes into everything. Sometimes premiums change on clients. We can't control that. It happens with some carriers. I had it to a client today. It was only $60. Had it to a client last week. It was $1,000. It just changes. It's a credit.
So Lee, I have a question. Is there a limit to how far they can look back?
We don't even know on the clue report. We don't even know what they're pulling. They don't tell us, but it's a complete history on the property, the buyer.
I mean, if you're a buyer and you've had a claim on your house like 5, 6, 7 years ago, do you have to tell them? Is there a limitation?
We only ask for 5 years, but if
Okay.
there's more, they're gonna know. And they won't tell us if they raise the rate for whatever reason or something happens, they won't even tell us what it is. They'll just give us a phone number to give to the buyer and say, call this number, like LexisNexis, and they'll take you through it and figure it out, because we can't even know. It's not for us to know. So it happens. So we just try and do the best we can. We always try to have these backup options. And yeah, you're right, Ruth. Chelsea does have poly pipes. They're up and down Broward, Palm Beach, Dade. There's just, like I said, there's at least 50,000 homes. Okay, now the wind mitigation inspection, I don't go through it too much, but basically the big discounts are the roof and the impact windows and doors. With impact windows and doors, it's a pretty significant discount. So you all know what it is if you qualify for those. It's about 10 or 20% of the premium. So whatever, if you're paying 6,000 now, it could easily be 1,000 a year savings. You're spending a lot of money on those things, but it does save significant money. The roof can get 4 different discounts. Now, the 4 different discounts are as follows, if you want to write them down. Number 1 is a new roof. That discount goes away after about 15 years, as you can tell. Second one is a hip roof, which, if you don't know what a hip roof is, like HIP hip, is a pyramid-looking roof. It looks like a pyramid. You could, if you picture yourself on the roof with a tennis ball, it would roll on all 4 sides about the same way. That's a hip roof. If it's only 2 sides, that's a gable. Hip roofs get big discounts. That discount is as big as the impact window and door discount. So if you're looking for buyers to find cheaper home insurance, find them a hip roof house. They'll definitely save money. Now, the 3rd and the 4th discount is on the wind mitigation inspection. Those are questions 3 and 4. Those 2 questions are basically answers of either A, B, or C. So just so you know how it works, if you have an A, your premium is higher. C, your premium is cheaper. B, of course, is in the middle. So you can all look at your old wind mitigation inspections and see if you have A, B, or C. If any of you have A's or B's, you can use that to an opportunity for yourself. Or if you're working a neighborhood, canvassing a neighborhood, you can also use this as a scenario. So try this with the wind mitigation inspection. People don't always want to talk about real estate, but they will always talk about their insurance premiums and how high they are. There isn't a person out there who won't talk to you, a realtor, about their insurance premiums and how ungodly high they've gotten. I'm getting F-bombed 3 to 5 times a day by clients, and it's not directed at me, but it is, because they're just pissed off. So everyone will do this for you. If you're in a community that has A's or B's on question 3 and 4 in your wind mitigation inspection, you should look at a situation. So Maria, I'll come back to you, because I don't know who else is on there that I can see their faces. I can't see anyone else. They're all scratched out. So I'll use you there, Maria. All right, so Maria, I'm going to play the role of a realtor. You're going to be the person living in the community. So Maria, we've hooked up and got connected somehow. And Maria, do you pay a lot of money for your home insurance?
Could you repeat the question? Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't.
well, do you pay a lot of money for your home insurance?
Well, right now I'm in a condo, but my son.
Well, go with the role play. Say yes.
Okay, say
You're in a
yes.
single family home. You're paying $8,000 a year. Say yes. You're paying a lot of money for your home insurance. So Maria, do you mind if I try to help you save money on your home insurance policy? Not sure if I can, but I could try. Is that okay?
Yes.
So can you give me a copy of your wind mitigation inspection? So I get a copy of your mitigation inspection. We can do this by Zoom or over the phone. Doesn't matter. You can email it to me. Doesn't have to be face to face. But I get your wind mitigation inspection, and I see that questions 3 and 4, you have letters A. And I know you could save money as a realtor even. So Maria, let me ask you a question. If you could fix that problem and change the A to C, and let's say it cost you $4,000 to do it with a roofing retrofit company, and you could save $600 a year on your insurance, would you do it?
Yes.
Pay $4,000? All right, so anyone out there in the audience, what does that tell me as a realtor? She's willing to pay $4,000 and she's going to save $600 a year on her premiums. What does that mean? Anyone?
In the long run, it's better.
Well, it's better, of course. Your home is worth more. It's more valuable. You get better discounts.
He doesn't plan to sell right away.
There you go. Thank you, Ruth. she's not looking to sell. You're not a client for me. You're not looking to sell your home. So I don't really need to be talking to you much more, but I'm still going to help you, Maria. I'm still going to give you this person to call. You can get your free estimate on the roof retrofit. You can get your free insurance estimate from your insurance agent. We'll do it for you if you want. And then if it makes sense to you, you can do it. That's a good thing. Now, Ruth, if I come back and now Maria says, oh, no, I don't want to spend $4,000. So that either means one of two things. Either she doesn't have the money, which is still a problem, or she's looking to move soon and doesn't want to spend the money. A or B, either way, you just found yourself a listing. So getting these wind mitigation inspections can really help you if you learn how to use them. Now let's talk about prices of home insurance policies, and we're going to talk about the qualifications for citizens insurance, because it's important that you understand both, and premiums understanding it as well. So citizens insurance in Broward and Palm Beach counties, and Wendy, is everyone here from South Florida or is it all over?
South Florida.
South Florida, okay. So in Broward and Palm Beach counties, citizens insurance only goes up to $699,000 of coverage. Okay. In Dade County and Monroe County, it goes to $1 million, but only in Dade and Monroe, which makes no sense to anybody other than people in Tallahassee for whatever reasons. Okay.
They probably live in Miami and Palm Beach.
Yeah, and that's why they're moving. Who knows? But I mean, so basically, for your citizens policy to qualify to get into citizens insurance, I'm just telling you up front, the home probably needs to be under 2,700 square feet under air-conditioned living space. If it's more than that, the chances of it fitting into citizens insurance is very unlikely. Not that it can't. It will depend on the upgrades inside the house, but it'll have a hard time qualifying. 2,800 and above will never qualify. Now, if it's in Dade County or Monroe County, you could easily go up to probably 3,200 square feet under air, and that's an under air number. So that's kind of the rule of thumb for you guys to understand, okay? And now I'm going to give you some pricing. And why that's so important for citizens is because if your clients don't qualify for citizens insurance, the premiums are going to be high. And if you're working with a lender, lenders never estimate insurance correctly on the good faith estimates. They're always wrong. So you need to make sure those good faith estimate insurance quotes are accurate, because if they're estimating $400 a month and the insurance is $700 a month, what they're going to tell us is lower the insurance costs. And I just laugh and say, best of luck. Doesn't work that way. So you're not going to make it to the closing table, and therefore they're going to lose all their money in deposits and escrows and et cetera. So it's a real complication. So you need to understand that system. So remember, 2,700 square feet is about where it falls. We will always try to help you get into citizens insurance if we can, even if it's above 2,700, but we cannot promise citizens insurance will keep it. And for those of you who are in citizens insurance with coverages currently at 650 or above, you could easily be kicked out of citizens next year as well, because they are doing that to all the people above 650,000. They're moving them out by saying your coverage needs to be higher. You need to go find another carrier. So they're doing it in several ways. Keeping that in mind, here are some premiums, and these premiums probably apply to citizens insurance. So I'll give this to you. So here's how insurance agents calculate premiums. We use what's called the replacement cost estimator. You know them as RCEs. Lenders always ask for them. We're not allowed to give them out since 2 years now. However, we use them, and what we do is we go to the property appraiser website, and all the information that's in there, we plug it into the insurance company website to come up with the replacement cost estimator. To simplify it for you, if you have a 2,000 square foot home, it's about $200 a square foot under air is the number you need to know. So if you have a 2,000 square foot home under air times $200 a square foot means that we're going to be insuring that home for $400,000, maybe $450,000. It's going to be 200 plus. So in that $400 to $450 range. But when you get to be 2,500 plus square feet, it goes to $250 to $300 a square foot. And that's why you get to the 699,000 so quickly. So pretty much it's hard to qualify for citizens insurance with those bigger homes. That's important. Okay, but for pricing reasons, let me just give you an example. So Maria, I'll use you here for this one. So let's just say we're taking a 2,000 square foot home to give you ballpark pricing, and I'm going to cover the whole state so you get an idea for it. So we'll start with Broward and Palm Beach counties. If you have 2,000 square foot home, and let's say we insure it for $450, if your home is 20 to 25 years old, the price of insurance starts at 1% of that number. So that's $4,000 to $4,500 a year right away. If it's a 20 to 25-year-old home, the older it gets, the older the roof is. If it doesn't have the impact windows and doors, if questions 3 and 4 on the roof are A or B, if it's east of I-95, all those things cause much higher premiums. The older the home is, the more significant the rates go up. So where a 20 to 25-year-old home would be $4,000 to $4,500 a year, a 30 to 35-year-old home would easily be $6,000 to $7,000 a year, and a home built in the 60s or early 70s could easily be $9,000 to $10,000 a year for a 2,000 square foot home. Now, if you get to the new construction, okay, it goes the other direction. So like Ruth was talking about with the new construction, now it goes down. So if it's 20 years or newer, the prices come down from 1%, and it goes to as low as about 0.5%. So it could be, I don't know, $2,000 a year for a home. I just did my daughter's policy. She bought a home in Lake Worth. It was 2,000 square feet, and it was brand new construction, and it was $3,000 a year. So that'll give you an idea about what it costs for a really good policy, good coverage. Now that's Broward and Palm Beach counties. Palm Beach tends to be a little bit cheaper than Broward. Dade County, if any of you are doing anything down there, it's higher than Broward and Palm Beach, Monroe as well. Easily at least 10, maybe 20% higher than Broward and Palm Beach. If you're going anywhere else in the state of Florida, anywhere else, it's probably half price of here. So you can go north of Palm Beach County to Martin County, Port St. Lucie, the West Coast to wherever. I mean, Orlando, the price, depending on where you go, the prices are going to be half, even lower than half in some cases. I think Ocala's got some of the cheapest rates, Ocala and Jacksonville in Florida. So that gives you an idea for single family homes. Now for condos, real quick, I'm going to give you an idea for pricing for condos. If you're buying a 1,200 square foot condo in Broward and Palm Beach County, the price of insurance today is currently between $1,200 a year and $4,500 a year. Now that's a pretty big range, and it's a 1,200 square foot condo. So how do you know where it's going to fall for your particular condo is going to be? Margarita, I'll come back to you on that one. So 1,200 square foot condo, if basically if you have an older building with an older roof, you're going to be at the high end of that pricing. So if you're buying in a 1965 building in Pompano that has an original building and it has the roof that's cement and it's solid, but it's original roof from 1965, you are buying in an older building with an older roof, you're going to be in that $4,000 a year price range for insurance, no matter what. You can't get around it unless you strip your coverages way down. Okay, now if you're in a newer building, the prices go in the low end, the 12 to 1,800 ranges, and the average condo price for Broward and Palm Beach is $200 to $300 a month, in that $2,000 to $3,000 a range price for condo insurance. So for your clients, I would be estimating $200 to $300 a month for condo insurance. Older building, the higher the price you should be charging. Okay, now if you're in Dade County, once again, it's higher by 10, 20%. And if you're outside of South Florida, again, it's potentially half price of here. So it's significantly lower. Margarita, for your I'm not good at this one, but basically I would assume if it's a 6,000 square foot home in Dade County, and that's under air square footage, you're probably going to have to use in that kind of home $400 a square foot. I'm assuming it's going to be upgraded. So that's probably going to be about $2.5 million of coverage. Premium is going to fall in the 0.5% range, maybe less. So that's probably 10 to 15,000 for a policy. So it just depends on the situations. It's still pricey, but it's a 6,000 square foot home. So obviously everything matters. A lot of people now who are buying homes with no mortgages are getting their insurance with no windstorm. The prices are extraordinary. And we'll do anything the client wants if it's a situation they want to get involved in. So just so you can understand some of the numbers we're seeing, one of my clients 2 months ago in East Fort Lauderdale on the water had a home that was insured for just under $1 million. Her policy was canceled for a water claim, so we had to get her a new policy. The price of her policy before was $20,000 to $25,000. The price of the new policy was $60,000. That's a pretty significant increase. That's almost triple. She has a mortgage, but her home was for sale. So she's taking a chance and she's doing the policy without the windstorm, because if the mortgage company finds out, they'll just surcharge her for the wind only, and we have a policy in place otherwise. But the difference is staggering. Where the policy was $60,000 with the wind, it's only $6,000 without the wind. That's $54,000 coverage for the windstorm portion of the policy for that particular client with a home on the water. So obviously every home is going to be different. Some people have tried doing it with homes that are more smaller but more normal size. Let's say it's a 3,000, 3,500 square foot home. With the wind might be 20,000. Without the wind might be still 6,000 or 7,000. So the differences are not as staggering, but they're still significant. So people can do that. We'll be happy to go over those numbers with clients to try to get them on the closing table for you. Now, when clients have problems, if you're in an older home, like Coral Gables in particular, or really older homes exist, okay, and you're trying to get a good insurance company, that becomes difficult. Older homes and bigger homes have been hit the hardest in this market, because your smaller homes, if you can still get into Citizens Insurance, at least you can get into Citizens Insurance and then maybe get depopulated. If you have to go to Lloyd's of London, that becomes crazy expensive. So what I was saying before, I started to say it, I don't know if I finished it, a polypipe home for that crappy coverage that I was talking about could easily be $15,000 a year for a policy with terrible coverage, where a good policy could easily cost $25,000 or $35,000. So it's just a question. So George, with cast iron is going to be okay for Citizens Insurance and the Lloyd's of London companies. Some of the other companies probably won't take it, but depending on the age of the home, because it's cast iron, it's probably an older home. Most of the insurance carriers in Florida don't take the older homes anyways. And cash buyers, no, they do not need to have insurance. That's why I was telling you about, we can do for clients with cash buyers, we can handle it without the windstorm. We have clients who just do liability. They do no insurance at all. They self-insure and they just get liability in case someone slips and falls and gets hurt and sues them for that. And we can cover that too. So those are done very cheaply. It just depends on the situation of the buyer. So we're happy to help a buyer in any way, shape, or form. It's not a problem. Now, a couple of things I will tell you guys, just so you know, and these things happen a lot. If you're working with us on quotes, and let's say we're giving you quotes from Citizens Insurance, and let's say the quote is 500,000 of coverage at 10,000 a year for premium, and another agent gives you a quote for Citizens Insurance at 400,000 of coverage and 7,000 a year in premium. Is that possible? Anyone want to give me the answer? You can unmute yourselves. Margarita's saying no. Ruth is saying no. And the answer is no. It's not possible. So you've heard of the term bait and switch. A lot of insurance agents are begging for business. So they bait and switch you. They come in and say, oh no, the home only needs to be insured for 400,000. Then when it comes time for binding the coverage, they say, oh my God, Citizens is making me increasing it to 500,000. No, they did it intentionally, which is why I gave you that little formula, the $200 a square foot or more, because that won't happen to you if you know to do that. It's just important to kind of know that, because people do this stuff all the time. So the rule of thumb, same company, same price. Insurance agents do not have an advantage over each other. It's a question of who do you want to work with and which quote is accurate. Most of the time, the cheapest quote is the one that's not accurate, very commonly, because they're doing something to the quote to make it look more attractive to you so that you'll be more likely to take it. So it kind of is what it is. So all those things kind of play hand in hand. Anyone else have any questions there so far? I don't have too much more to cover, so
No, I
can.
don't see any other questions.
Okay, and we're at the hour now, so we can go on a little bit longer, but I do want to cover commercial stuff with you guys. So commercial, condos and so forth. So you all know about the laws that have passed. Those things you should know about, but here's how it works on the insurance side. The 40-year inspection is now required at 30 years. And if they've done it, they need to do it every 10 years thereafter. If they do not pass the 40-year inspection, the insurance policy will be canceled. They must pass the 30 to 40-year inspection. We've already had at least 3 instances here in South Florida. Dade counties had 2, Broward's had 1, where the associations did not pass the inspections, and people are being told to move out, get out. One of them had a claim of fire, so they had no coverage, so they're all going to be special assessed. I mean, there's all kinds of problems out there, so be very, very careful of this. You also should know that your associations have to have their financials in line by December of next year, which means if their financials are not in good shape, there's going to be a lot of additional escrows coming from the associations to the people who live there. That's going to cause them to want to sell, but who's going to want to buy? Because special assessments are special assessments, and so it's going to be a problem. So it could be a problem in the condo market, especially in the major high-rise buildings. The buildings, and it's defined as buildings that are over 3 stories. So it's not 3 stories, but it's over 3. So 3 stories with a garage at the bottom would be over 3, or a 4-story and above building. That's where it's going to be affected. The older the building, the more east on the water that building is, the more likely those buildings are going to have potential problems. So once they get to be 40 years old, bottom line is the construction in Florida has not been great. So it's just been problem after problem after problem. And this is what the insurance companies have to deal with when they have construction problems. So it just kind of is what it is. But you should also understand that the associations, the condo associations, their master policies, they're going up in price significantly. They can be increased not only 20%, but I've seen some of them increased 300%. So therefore, the associations are going to be surcharging or special assessing their policy, their people who live there as well for that. So the condo market, I think, is going to go through a big change. I don't know if it's going to affect the home market. The home market, I think your bigger homes are problematic, but if they're cash buyers, there are lots of ways to get around it. So when you bring your clients to us, we're going to help you find a way to get into the home. Now, one thing we've been able to do a lot for some people is people who have problems. So for example, look at the electrical section on this REAP form I have up there. All those electrical panels that you see there, like I said before, Citizens Insurance, they're the only company that take them. It used to be the Lloyd's of London companies would take these panels, no more. So if you have these panels, they still need to be replaced. So quite often we can put a client into a surplus lines policy for a variety of reasons, if it's a roof issue or other things. As long as there are no leaks in the roof, which is a problem, or with these electrical panels with the wrong names, unless it's Citizens, we can pretty much help you and get your client to the closing table. It's always going to be about the premium and what the client wants to do for coverages. So we'll give the client as many options as we can. We always give them a variety of options on quotes with bigger deductibles and less coverages.
So Lee, I have a question.
Sure.
So if the property is above the citizen's limit and it has that panel and the buyer's getting a mortgage, they must replace it before closing. Is that correct? They're not giving them a window like they are with the roof?
So say again, with what now?
So if the policy is above the citizen's limit,
Right.
then that panel must be replaced before
Well,
closing to get insurance.
Yeah, so if it's a square footage home at 2,700 or above and doesn't qualify for Citizens Insurance, or in Dade County, I'll say 3,100 square feet or above, and they have these panels in there, they must be replaced by the seller. No one will take them for insurance.
Before closing.
They got to get a 4-point inspection that says they aren't there. So this is why it's so critical to get a 4-point inspection done. And for all of you, if you're living in a home, if you're going to consider selling even in a couple of years, get a 4-point inspection done now on your own home. I did one on my old house in Hollywood. I didn't know that I had a Federal Pacific panel outside my house. I ended up changing all the panels on the home before I sold it, but I still didn't realize I had an electrical panel out there and what the name brand was, whoever looks out there. But you'd be surprised what you find, but it plays so much more of a role today than it used to 10 years ago. Everything plays an effect. Now, if a
So then you
client,
might want to be sure you do an inspection before you even list, when you list your house,
no,
before you
absolutely.
get a building.
I was just going there now. Good idea, Wendy. No, I was just going to say that if you're going to list a home as a realtor and you're going to take a listing, my strongest advice to you is to tell that seller to do a 4-point inspection. And you can certainly send it to me. I'll review it for you and tell you what's good and bad about it. And if it's all good, you should put it out on the dining room table for the open house so everyone can see it. Don't hide
You
it.
know,
That's important.
I want to say something else. So I think it's next week, the week after, I think it's the 25th. I'm going to do a lunch and learn with Pillar to Post, and they're going to tell you about their new virtual, what's it called? Virtual open house, where they do an inspection virtually and they notate everything for the buyer and the seller, so they'll have a record of it.
Yeah,
So you guys might want to,
yes, that's great.
yeah, you guys
Great.
might want to look for that email, and that would be a great lunch and learn to attend. And this is perfect. It fits right in.
And if you need to do a 4-point inspection, you can ask them to get it done for you because they're only charging, I think, $150 to do them. And everyone should do one in their home every 3 to 5 years. It's really critical to do one. I also wanted to say one other thing. It was but I forgot now. So anyone else have any questions otherwise in general? Anyone have any questions?
No, I think you scared us all.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I covered a lot of stuff and we only did it in a little over an hour and there's a lot out there and it's not good news, but you have to know it because your buyers, if you want to get the buyers to the closing table, you have to understand the marketplace. I can't emphasize enough to work with the lenders and make sure their good faith estimates are accurate for insurance. And by the way, if you guys give me a call and ask me to give a ballpark on a quote for a premium, so you can talk to the lender, I'll be happy to do that for you. I only need to ask you 5 or 6 questions and I can give you a ballpark, kind of like I did with the new construction for Margarita, but that size home is a little bit harder for me. But most homes I can give you an idea so you know what the insurance costs are going to be, because you don't want your clients finding out last minute they're not going to make it to the closing table because the good faith estimate was wrong and the premiums are $300 a month higher than they were expecting and they didn't show it to you or tell you about it. So it's important to really know this stuff. You just got to get your clients to the closing table. The more we see it, the better off it is. The faster you get it to us, because
Oh, no, I think that's great information. And I think the lesson is that we all need to be proactive, not reactive. Last thing we want to do is work on a closing and have it blow up at the last minute. I've seen that happen, and I guess it's going to happen more often. So let's be proactive, get your insurance quotes in early, do your inspections early, and you might want to do that virtual open house as well.
You'll do that one last thing. I didn't say this earlier, and I like to say this in the classes. Sure. When all of you get your renewal for your premiums, and the premium goes up, let's say $2,000, which is not so uncommon these days, that's the phone call I get from clients. My premium just went up $2,000 on my renewal. Can you help me? My response first and foremost is congratulations. You got a renewal. You're way ahead of the game. Because at least you have options. You can look at that policy, you can make changes to that policy. And by the way, we can also take over policies. So if you have a policy with an agent that you really haven't talked to in 5 years and you want us to be your agent, we can normally do that with most policies and take it over for you and help you try to get out of it. So that's always great to do. We have a lot of clients who do that. They never talk to their agent. And by the way, you're paying us a commission every single year you pay your premium: car insurance, home insurance, flood insurance, umbrella policies, jewelry policies. So you might as well have a conversation with us as well, because what I want to make sure you understand is fraud is really bad out there. And there are tons of issues going on out there. People with $50,000 claims spending $10,000 to make the repairs. There's so much going on out there. It's really just a scary situation. So this is what's caused the insurance industry. And I'll give you some facts and figures just so you know how bad it really is. Insurance fraud and litigation in this country is second only to tax evasion. And we all know how bad tax evasion is. 80% or nearly 80% of the entire country's insurance fraud and litigation comes from the state of Florida. The worst 3 counties, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach in order. The next 3 worst is Tampa, Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough. We have the 6 worst counties in the country. That's almost 80% of the country. Now, we only pay out 8% of the country's claims, but we have nearly 80% of the litigation and fraud. And just some other numbers so you see how bad it is. I'm going to ask you guys a question. This survey was done a couple of years ago, so it's a couple of years old, maybe 3 years old. But of the 7 years prior, of $150 billion in that 7 years that was paid out from the insurance companies, what percentage of that money went to the consumer? Anyone want to guess what percentage?
Sure, it was low.
It's low, but that's okay. Let them guess. You heard the number, so don't say it. Anyone want to guess what number? Alphonse is right, 10%. So of $150 billion paid out over those 7 years, only 10% went to the consumer. The rest went to lawyers, public adjusters, fraud, I mean, all kinds of stuff. That's where the problems really are in Florida. So those are your real statistics. And with that, I will close. Congratulations to all of you for being here, staying attention. Hopefully I helped you. If you need help, please give me a call. I'm happy to help any of you. Give us a call. We're quick and easy to work with. I have some really good staff. We work pretty much 24/7. If you give us something today, we'll have it for you by tomorrow. If it's going to take longer, and sometimes it does, especially with Lloyd's of London, we'll let you know. And we can do everything. We can do, because car insurance rates are going up. Auto rates are going up, flood rates are going, everything is going up. So like I said, you guys can talk to your clients about insurance, and we're happy to work with your clients and help them save some money if we can. But if we can't, we can't. I mean, it's just the way it goes. But your clients may want to look at stuff because they may not have a good relationship with their agent. And that's really the problem. You should always be talking to your agent. If you're not talking at least once a year, it's a problem. And otherwise, Wendy, thank you so much.
It's
I know you gotta
all
go.
about relationships.
It
You
is
need a
about
relationship with
relationships.
your insurance agent, a relationship with your title company. So thank you so much, Lee. Great
You're very, very
information.
welcome.
And you are a pleasure to work with. I know you've done insurance for my last 2 purchases. And I want to thank everybody for being here today. And once again, guys, when you need a title company, please keep me in mind. South Florida Title Associates, the Nob Hill branch, Wendy Rosenberg. I really try hard to bring you great information and great presentations and send you copies of the recording and keep you all updated in whatever's happening in your business and industry. And I just hope in return that you give me your next deal or the one after, like I always say. I know you have other relationships, so you don't have to send me all of your business. But if you would just send me your next deal or the one after, I would be super, super thankful. And we do an amazing job at South Florida Title. I have an awesome staff, a great team, great competitive rates. We only charge $5.85 for our settlement fee, and we do not upcharge that simultaneous issue. It's only $25. We're one of the very few title companies that doesn't upcharge that. And best of all, you have me. Any questions you have along the way, any glitches or problems, you can always reach out to me. And those of you that work with me know I answer my phone. I answer at nights and weekends, and I'm always here to help you. And I'm a great resource. My team is great. And I really hope I get the chance to work with you all personally sometime very soon. So stay safe. And I will send you a copy of the recording in this slot. Well, there are no slides. A copy of the recording, and look forward to working with you soon. And like I said, I think it's not next week, but the following week on Wednesday, November 25th at Total Wine and Plantation. We're going to have a lunch and learn on a virtual open house with Pillar to Post. Ties right into having your insurance, having everything ready up front, have it ready for your buyer so you don't have any problems at the last minute. Okay, stay safe, and thank you, everybody. And thank you again, Lee. Awesome presentation.
My pleasure. Thank you all for coming.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Wendy.